we're at CES, we got Vamsi with us, who works for Goodyear. Now Goodyear, for those who don't know, has been selling tires for a little bit of time now. Is that true?
125 years plus.
Only 100. So they're kind of new. As long as cars have been on rubber, Goodyear's been there.
That's true.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Now there are no innovations in tires. There can't be. Oh wait, maybe there can. This year is all about AI. Talk to me about intelligent tires.
Yeah, so our intelligent tire program is called Sightline, and it encompasses a lot of things that you'll see in the booth here. Our primary push is that we have intelligence enabled from the tires, because the tires are the only things that touch the ground from a vehicle perspective. So we have sensors that are mounted inside the tire. You obviously can't see them right now, but we wirelessly get data from them, and we combine that with information from the vehicle CAN bus. So things like the steering wheel angle, how fast the vehicle is moving. We combine that information with the tire information, and then we can do things like aquaplaning detection or warning. So when you're about to lose control of the vehicle, before that happens, we can warn the driver to slow down. So that's one cool application for this from a driver perspective.
So I'm driving.
Right.
It's wet out. I may not notice it, or I may not notice this particular. How does the tire know that I am at risk of hydroplane?
So we actually can measure the amount of contact between the tire and the road.
Wow.
And so whenever you start hydroplaning, you start slowly losing that contact. And so we can warn the driver that you're about to hydroplane as you start losing contact.
And that's before you actually hydroplane?
Yeah, so that's at a point. If you want to sit inside, maybe I can show you more stuff. If you want to sit on the other side.
On the driver's side?
Yeah.
I'll head to the driver's side. That's how official I get.
So I'll start from the beginning, man.
Sure.
So yeah, so this is sort of the overview I just mentioned. We have tire-mounted sensors that are mounted on the inner surface of the tire. Mm-hmm. We also measure pressure and temperature. That's sort of the classical TPMS application, but we also have an accelerometer that's in the tire. So that's giving us more intelligence. And one of the things that we can do is we can estimate the load per tire. So we can measure the corner loads. This is more important from a fleet perspective, where if you have a large number of vehicles that are moving in and out of your warehouse, you can know how much load is on each of those vehicles. Mm-hmm. And another feature...
So if you've got a fleet, you can monitor more than just tire pressure, but all kinds of things.
Yeah, so this is another thing that we can do, because if you have a fleet of 100 vehicles, the classical way to manage your fleet is you send someone out to your parking lot, and someone measures the pressure on each vehicle before they head out. What we can do is with Sightline, we have a fleet operations center where the fleet manager gets information from all the vehicles, all the tires in one point. So if there's any tire that needs replacement due to its tread being worn out, or if it has low pressure, they get a warning from that,
right? And
they can immediately go identify that vehicle and replace it as necessary. So this is one of those features where we predict the remaining tread life on the tire, mm-hmm. In terms of either tread depth or in terms of mileage. This is useful from a maintenance perspective.
Now, are these out on the road yet?
They're in fleets.
Today?
As pilot projects, yes.
And so I can't buy them, but they are in use.
Yes.
And what kind of cost premium is this going to introduce to the tire?
So that's a one-on-one discussion that we have with our fleets. We have custom arrangements with them, depending on how many miles they drive. It's a different use case.
Sure.
But there is value add for the fleet managers.
But in a matter of, like any tech, in a matter of years, your cost comes down, and accessibility gets wider and wider. Mm-hmm. What kind of communication system is it using? Because you've got a wheel. What is it, the communication protocol?
So it's wireless, so it's radio frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So typical TPMS is also wireless.
Okay, so it's nothing new. It's well tested, well understood.
Yeah, it's well validated. That's right.
Yeah.
We are adding on to that. We are also exploring a few other communication protocols, because there's a lot more data compared to regular TPMS.
Now I have a question. I've got a couple people who keep asking me, airless. Why can't we? Is it just a heat issue? I know airless tires have been something. I saw you've got the one on display. Is it a speed issue? Why are they not a thing?
Oh, you mean in production?
Yeah.
I think that it's still in development right now.
It's just physics. The physics makes it tricky.
There's some challenges with it, like there's some aspects in terms of controllability. You want to feel, so one of the advantages of having air in the tire is it gives you a damper effect, right?
Yes.
So it smoothens the ride. Whereas if you don't have air, now you have a solid object that's more rigid. So that's one of the challenges that we're overcoming right now, is getting that same drive feeling from airless tires.
So the answer I hear you saying is it could still happen someday.
Yes, definitely. We're actively working on it. There's a large group of engineers dedicated to that.
Because I know there was a discussion that Elon had with Joe Rogan where Joe Rogan said, can't we just get past it? And Elon said, the tire guys are working on it. They've been on it for 100 years. When they say we're there, we're there.
Right, yep.
That sounds right to you. Anything I'm missing or forgetting to ask about the intelligence?
Yeah, so there's more cool features that we can talk about. Yeah, so we can do things like abnormal wear detections. This is something that will happen if your wheels are out of alignment or if there's something wrong with your suspension, with the vehicle itself. We can detect that and then warn the driver to take the car into service.
Wow.
That's one thing. And then leak detection is more of a classical TPMS application. This is a cool hydroplaning detection thing I was talking about, where
So there, you were talking about the contact loss, and there it is actually mathematically.
Yeah, so we are able to measure how much contact is there between the tire and on the road. And when you hit 0% contact, that means you're completely on the water, you're completely hydroplaning.
So when you're here, I may not feel it yet, but my tires do.
Yes, and that's the goal really, is we want to warn the driver before you hit 0%. We want to warn the driver at this stage so that they can slow down and regain 100% contact. Because once you get to this point, it's hard to regain control, but when you're still at partial hydroplaning, you can regain control by slowing down.
And I say this in all the videos when it comes to a commercial application is, the cost isn't the issue. Like he was saying, you can, if you have a fleet, you can discuss it. Goodyear has people available for that. But the matter becomes, either it works for your application or it doesn't. If this is going to save you an accident, the cost is not the concern.
Right.
And if you've got a fleet that's only 10 or 20 vehicles, maybe you're not as worried. Fine, you can decide that. The commercial client knows how to make that decision on their own.
Right. So, and we're also sort of educating the fleet managers. There's some things that they might not know that we can even do. Right. So even in small fleet sizes, it's really beneficial to have all of that fleet information from all vehicles in one place, where you can monitor the tire pressures of all vehicles. You can monitor the state of if there's a leak or anything like that. So yeah, it's useful for all fleet sizes. It's not just the large ones.
Not just the large ones.
Yeah.
And anyone can decide whether or not it makes sense for them. And like Goodyear also, I've heard it said, I don't know if this is true, that they spent quite a bit of money designing racing application tires over their history.
Yeah, so we are actively part of NASCAR.
Of course. And that technology is prohibitively expensive for you and I, but it filters down to the consumer eventually. That's what all of racing is about. That's why so many manufacturers spend so much money on it, is because the innovations that come to racing first often make it to consumer products.
Yeah, so one of the things that I can talk about on that is RFID. So that's something that was prototyped and in place for NASCAR. So we have RFID tags in tires for NASCAR, and that's something we are now trying to push to OEMs, big automotive manufacturers, because they're also interested in that technology, where you have a dedicated RFID tag for each tire. So what you can do is then identify the parameters of that tire, so you can get these sort of pre-calibrated values populated into the traction control system or the ABS system based on which tire is in which position.
Wow, great. So if the mark of the beast, as some of the crazies call it, is good enough for your dog and your cattle and your tires, I mean, what are we waiting for? Awesome. I thank you for your time. This was a great chat. And AI is the buzzword this year. Everybody, thank goodness it's not just crypto again this year, because Because that's what I need, is for my car to idle in my garage solving Sudoku puzzles I can trade for heroin. Or worse, the NFTs, which is just a picture of snake oil. But anyway, we've got a lot of stuff coming up, and the good thing is they're not just tires, they're pushing forward, they're trying to make everything a little bit better all the time, even at tremendous cost in R&D. So good stuff. Thank you for your time. And everybody at home, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Let me know what I should have asked, because that's how we do this. And stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the next
we'll be around for the next 3 days, so
perfect.
drop by if you need to.